Hi guys, how are you? It's Eora. I am back with another one with some more messages from the Lord and just from experience as well. It's not just like from the Lord, but it's from the Lord, but it's like also for me as well. Just because we've worked together just to build something like we've fought so hard just to and God has been by my side even when it seemed like he wasn't by my side. Jesus and the guardian angels, and it's like sending out this message is just so big and so important. So today we're going to literally talk about mental health as we usually do on my channel, as well as just taking psych meds and the effects that psych meds have on your body, and the fact that they actually say this, like when you see a lot of psych meds on TV, you will see that they actually say that these medicines have side effects, and the side effects could be death, all sorts of things, stiff muscle, blah blah blah, hallucinations, just a bunch of these things. And it's like when you're a psych patient, you're vulnerable, right? You're trying to make sure that you find something that is going to work for you, and whatever it is, you hope that it does work for you. But unfortunately, not every single medication, not all medication works for everybody. Everybody's body is different, and so what works for you may not work for me. What works for me may not work for you. So it's just so amazing. Like, if you're able to find something that works for you, if your doctor gives you something that's worked for you, oh my God, you're so lucky by any means. Like, keep taking it, don't stop taking it. You're in heaven, you're in the best place of your life, just to be able to have something that it helps you cope with life. Because the worst thing is to actually struggle with a mental disorder, not being able to function properly in the regular world, and hearing voices or hearing wherever you hear, and there is nothing nobody can do for you. Like, that's the worst case scenarios, and you're stuck in that state of mind or whatever you're going through. So for me, like I said, a lot of the stuff they gave me, I think I've tried 3 different medications, and a lot of them, and none of them really worked for me. They did a little bit at the time, but in the long run, these medications literally just, and I'm not saying all medications, I'm just saying the ones that I took, they literally take a toll on your body. I would wake up feeling like a junkie, like literally like I just did a bunch of drugs, and I am so like messed up from the drugs, and that's what happened. That's how you feel after taking them, and you don't feel like it's adding on to anything, like if you're in my case, or if it's you're in my body or whatever. But with this stuff, it doesn't make you feel, it has no nutrition benefits, right? So if it doesn't have nutrition benefits, it's not adding any nutrition to your body, and it's just there's side effects, and there are things that it can harm you. You know what I mean? If it doesn't work for you, it's going to harm you. So it's like, for me, it doesn't make sense to take something that I know is going to either make me fall asleep while I'm walking, or make me, pass out all of a sudden, or that's going to make me feel like I am dizzy, or I'm stiff, or I just can't move on. To me, I'm automatically going to be like, okay, this is not working. And I've talked to my doctor, right? Like, okay, this is not working, this doesn't help me. And it's gotten to the point, and all they can do is just say, well, we're going to try something new. But your body, like, you could be the guinea pig if your body has the capacity or the strength to be able to just go through all these medications without it like falling apart. But my body is different. My body, it can only take so much. I can't keep going through that. I can't keep, like, one time I was in the psych ward, and they gave me an injection because I was singing too loud in the cell. I wasn't in the hospital. I mean, I wasn't in like the hallways or anything. I was in the cell already, and I just was singing because I was scared. They put me in a cell, and I was like, what is going on? Like, I just started singing, and I wasn't really scared, but I was like, okay, this is an opportunity to sing, because my voice is so loud, it's so powerful that, so I believe that I can't really just sing as loud as I can anywhere without making somebody worry, or without me feeling like I'm being watched, or without me exposing myself to other people. So when they put me in that little cell, I was like, okay, let me sing at the top of my lungs. Now that they've shut the doors, they've put me in there. Like, it's so funny how my brain how your brain, or well, my brain actually just finds the light of every situation. Reminds me of my daughter. Like whenever I would actually get sometimes I would get mad at her and I don't want to spank her when she was little before she got adopted. I would get mad at her if she didn't listen to me, and I was like, okay, I'm tired of spanking her. So I had a huge closet at the time. We had a huge closet the closet looked like it was a walk-in closet. Like it looked like it could be a room, right? Baby's room or something, right? So I just put her in the closet and just like let her be sit in there. And I know that sounds bad, but it was literally a big closet, like my closet now. Like I turn it into, like, you can turn it into like a little studio, you know what I mean? And so she was in there and there were toys in there. I didn't even know there were toys in there. So I opened the door. So I'm like, she's too quiet. Like, why is she quiet? Like, her little brain just figured a way to have fun in there. Like, she didn't even like cry or complain like, oh, I'm in the closet, I'm not with my mommy. She just started figuring out things, like just trying to find toys and stuff like that to play with. And I opened the door and she was literally entertaining herself, looking at new things, looking at new toys. She was not fazed by it. So I was like, wow. I was like, okay, baby, it's time to come out of here. This is not helping you. You know, I don't want her just to be sitting in the closet by herself. So I was like, I took her out, right? So that reminds me of how my brain actually operates. When they put me in that little cell thing, I was like, it's like, I guess, the quiet room for mental patients that like either lose it or singing too loud or lose or whatever. And so I'm in there and I just start singing. My brain was like, okay, this is an opportunity. So just start singing, a chance for you to be able. I thought the room was like noise reduction. I did not think that it was going to make noise. Like, I did not think that you could hear me, right? So the doctor comes in, the nurses come in or whatever, and with a long ass injection, right? And they all grab me and they say, your doctor ordered us to give you this, right? And I look at them, I'm like, what is it? Where's my doctor? Let me talk to my doctor. Why are they giving me an injection, this big ass needle, excuse my language? And they were like, oh, your doctor is not on site, she's at home. I'm like, well, how did they, like, oh my God. So the best thing to do when you go in a situation like this, right, they hit you with a big surprise. They don't talk to you. This was at Brookdale Hospital, I believe, yeah, in New York City. They didn't talk to me and be like, oh, why are you screaming, why are you singing? They had no patience at all. Now let me tell you, there are different hospitals that deal with people in different ways, right? Because I've been to Bellevue Hospital, and this hospital is more of a high-end hospital in Manhattan, and the hospital in Brooklyn, the one where they just automatically gave me a needle without no warning or without explaining to me or trying to talk to me, this hospital is more like a ghetto hospital, a little bit in the hood area or whatever, right? So a lot of times in those areas, they don't really have the patience to deal with patients, you know what I mean, which they really should. But the fact that they're running out of like finances or whatever, that's what one of the doctors told me once, it makes it harder for them to hire people that have proper skills or that have people skills that know how to communicate. Now, when I would put in at Bellevue Hospital, way after that, like way long, like about a year or two, I go to Bellevue. They take me to Bellevue Hospital, right? I guess I had an episode or whatever happened, right? And so, or I was doing music and I just became like out of, like, you know, some people just try to use, like, when you're a mental patient or you live in a shelter, a mental health shelter, the staff tries to use the hospital as something to control you, to scare you so they can control you, right? So that's what this guy did. He was like, I don't want to say like colors or anything, but he was an African American guy, right? He was really cool at first, but then like, so I'm singing and dancing, and I guess somebody says I was bothering them or something, and so he was like, oh, if you don't stop, I'm gonna send you to the hospital or whatever. And I was like, that's fine, you can send me to the hospital, it's better than this shelter, right? I was just like, I've been there already, let's just go, whatever, it doesn't matter, like, because I'm trying to tell them, like, you can't threaten me by trying to take me to the hospital, like, or anything, like, that stuff doesn't scare me, right? And so they take me to the hospital, and then I literally had a great time, right? I'm chilling, I'm sitting, I'm having fun, I'm a party animal, I'm having a great time, right? So when I go to Bellevue Hospital, the staff and everything and everyone was so different, right? See, when you go through this, it's very important to talk about it if you can, if you have the patience, or if you even have the heart, or if you even have the balls, or if you even feel like doing it. It's all up to you. There's no pressure or nothing. But I think that hospitals really should know this, because why would God put me there? Why would God put this disorder on me? Or why would God put me in a situation unless he really wanted to find out what was going on in these places, so it can make a difference, right? In these hospitals, because these patients really are going through so much, right? And if you hire, or if you're someone that is really good with people, you can like literally make the world a better place, or make the hospital a better place, by learning how to talk to these patients rather than injecting them with more needles every time. Like, learn how to keep them calm, and learn how to try to talk to them and find out what in what angle you can approach them before you just automatically use your weapon against them, which is the needle or whatever it is that you're trying to give them, or the medication, right? And so Bellevue Hospital was so different. I loved it so much, right? Because the therapists were great. The snap the and they were white therapists and stuff, most of them. The doctor was Indian. um the only thing is, like, they were like, I did refuse medication the first time they asked me to take medication, just because I didn't feel like I needed it. At the time, I wasn't hearing voices. At the time, it wasn't until later that I actually did start hearing voices, but at the time, I wasn't hearing voices. I felt good. I felt like I was in my spirits. I didn't want to get high or drunk off or anything, like, so I already knew, like, medication just makes you feel more woozy, or they telling you it makes you more relaxed, but I'm like, I'm fine, like, and the thing is, when you're in the hospital, you can't have an attitude or lose your temper or anything. That just gives them the upper hand, and a reason to really, really make you take your medication. So at first they tell you, if you don't take your medication, you're going to be in a hospital for a very long time. And for me, it's like, that's fine. I don't have anywhere else to go. I don't have a home anyway. I don't want to live in a shelter. I have a free room, a nice room here in the hospital. They give you good food. Like at Bellevue Hospital, they gave us really nice food. They feed the patients really well. Like, if you want vegetarian food, they'll give you vegetarian food. If you want vegan options, they have vegan options. The food is clean. Everything is great, right? The plates are clean. It's like no complaints. The hospital is phenomenal. It's just cleaned, at least where I was, and compared to Bellevue Hospital, and not Bellevue, compared to Brookdale Hospital, and I'm not trying to say Brookdale Hospital is just a very bad hospital. It was pretty bad at the time. I guess it's just because it's less funded. Because I actually, just to kind of rewind a little bit, I actually did get to talk to the doctor, because the first time they had threatened to take me to court if I didn't take medication in Brookdale Hospital, right? And I was like, that's fine, I'll go to court. I told them that's fine, I didn't yell or have an attitude. I just used my intelligence, or the intelligence God gave me, or street smart or whatever, to just let them know. I'm like, I highly doubt that you guys even have these cameras on, because these patients, I've been watching these patients pass out. Some patients are coming up to me because they think I'm a nurse, because I'm actually like being really nice to them and talking to them and cleaning up like after their mess, something the nurses or the person that works there should be doing. I was actually doing, just because I was making use of my time. I feel like it's the Spirit of God that was telling me to do it, but I just wasn't really aware of it. But I've always been a person that loves to clean, right? And I know that if you have a clean environment, everybody around is gonna like literally have a better mindset, and it's not going to be too much drama, because when the whole area is messy, people can't like really think correctly, right? So I always try to clean up the area, right? And I went into a room, like I heard a old lady cry. And I was like, what's wrong? I heard her cry. And you can't really tell the nurses, hey, because they're so busy and they're low on staff, right? So you can't really say, hey, check this lady out. So when somebody's crying, I automatically just went into her room and I was like, are you okay? And she was like, I don't know what's happening. And so I started massaging her feet, right? And she literally got better. She got quiet. She got calm. This is at Brookdale Hospital. She was like, thank you so much. Like, she was super happy, right? So I left the room, and when I told the nurse everything, right, they were like, okay, oh, like, I don't know if they say thank you, but they were like, okay, thanks, so whatever, I don't know. But anyways, at Brookdale Hospital, it was just like, when they tried to enforce medication on me, I was like, no, but you can take me to court. I can fight it. I can tell you guys. I can tell the judge all that's going on in here, and we'll see what the judge feels like. So the doctor, it was a woman doctor. I don't know if she was Russian or whatever, but when she heard me say that, she was like, later on, I thought I really had to go to court, right? So I get dressed, I wake up, and they're like, they have my clothes ready or whatever to go to court. You never really win when you go to court. If you're a patient, they usually always give you like 15 more days with medication. I've never heard of anybody going to court and winning and beating and just going straight home. It's probably happened, never happened to me. So I get dressed, and the doctor comes up to me, and they're like, why are you dressed up? And I was like, well, they told me I was going to court. And the doctor was like, no, you're not going to court. You're fine, you know? And so I was like, really? Yay, thank God. So the doctor was really cool, but I started talking to the doctor, right? And the doctor, we really just started having a real conversation. It wasn't like, oh, doctor to patient. It was like two real people, you know. I did mention something out of my craziness, like, oh, my grandmother, my uncle knows Queen Elizabeth and all this. And when she was just started hearing Queen, she was like, Queen, what? And so she was just like, like, this is, I don't know, it's interesting. Usually people, you say things like that in the hospital, they think you're crazy, right? I'm not crazy. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And so, I mean, like, I don't believe, like, when you suffer from a mental disorder, you're crazy and you just don't know what you're doing. There are different levels to mental disability. Some people can function, I've seen people do acrobats and still suffer from a mental disorder. It just depends what is going on with you. Like, when you're hearing voices, you can't function, you can't throw yourself out to work when you're hearing other voices. You're not going to focus. You can't even drive. I can't even imagine a mental a psychiatric person, a mentally disordered person hearing voices and driving at the same time. How can you even focus? Like, it's a miracle. If you can do it, oh my God, please comment. Let me know how you did it. But anyways, I managed to go to lose them eventually. But just to let you know, so she was basically telling me, she was like, you know, the hospital is running low on money. That's why, like, we can't hire enough people to, like, do everything, like, to keep the things clean and just keep up with every single patient. And it's just really hard. And when she talked to me, it was like woman to woman. I felt so respected. I felt like there was someone that cared, even if there were times where, after they did give me the injection, way before me and her that was like in the beginning, because I stayed in the hospital for 3 months. They allowed me to stay in the hospital for 3 months without medication. And I was really happy to stay in there, because even if there were times where it was messy, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't worse than a shelter. And I didn't have to, if I wanted to go to my room, I could go. If a patient, I think a patient actually hit me before, and they ended up getting put in the room with a needle or whatever. I think she did punch me or slap me or something. I didn't hit her back, just because I was trained to learn how to like not retaliate, be so quick to retaliate, you know. And when I was younger, I would like lose it quickly. But as I got older, I realized that you survive better if you know how to control your emotions or your feelings, right? Especially in chaotic situations. Especially when you're homeless, you have to learn how to control your emotions. You have to learn how to talk yourself out of situations. And a lot of times I did talk myself out of situations. And that was the case when I was in hospitals, where I felt like I don't need to be here. I don't need to be, like, you know, under psychiatric care or anything like that. I didn't feel like I did. But when you receive the Holy Spirit, or you believe in God and you see different things, people think you're crazy. People don't think you're normal. You're speaking in tongues in public. You're trying to heal people in public. That's crazy. to a lot of people in the shelters that like, don't touch me. Like, it's just weird stuff. Like, so what is she speaking? They start thinking you were demon possessed or whatever. There's a lot of people that don't believe in speaking in tongues, and they just assume, because the real world doesn't understand it, they assume it's a mental disorder, right? Which I did actually have a mental disorder. It just wasn't as severe as it became in 2017, right? Because in my family, there is a history of mental disorder. My sister was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, but she manages to work. One of my uncles was diagnosed with a mental disorder. So, but my family always like says that you don't have a mental disorder, you're fine, blah blah blah, but they don't know what you're going through mentally. So it's like, if you don't know what I'm going through mentally, it doesn't matter if I tell you I'm going through this, you won't believe me anyway, because your assumption is, if you can do your makeup, if you can do this, I've seen you do better. It's not that I can't function. If you train your brain to do a certain thing, you will, it will do the right thing. It's not that I can't function. I was hearing like literal voices, and my muscles were stiff from all the meds that they tried to give me, or that they did give me. And a lot of those meds were making me feel like, they made me feel like I was suicidal, like I should just kill myself, right? And I started hearing voices telling me to kill myself and all these things. That's mental disorder. Like, your parents, whether it's your mother or your father, your brother or your sister, these people can tell you what you don't have, because they're on the outside of you. They're not on the inside of your body. That's why when you go to a mental hospital, the doctors ask you, what are you hearing? They're not telling you what you're hearing, because they don't know what you're hearing. So they're asking you, what is going on with you? Help us help you. They're going off of what you tell them. You know what I mean? And so these people actually do care. There's a lot of people in the hospitals that are trying to help, but there's a lot of other people, doctors, not necessarily doctors, but some doctors, they don't know how to communicate to patients. They don't have the patience. They're like, okay, this is what we're going to do. So a lot of the times I've had doctors that I've been able to talk to, explain my situation. They've been able to just let me go without medication. And so when I was at Brookdale Hospital, I did stay there without taking this medication, any medication, and they let me stay there, and I had such a great time. And eventually they released me. And I thank God for Brookdale Hospital, because they did listen to me. They did. Like, no matter what it was, they did hear me out. The doctor did hear me out. She didn't ignore my cry. She didn't force medicate, because I was able to comply. I was able to listen to them. A lot of the patients that go there, they're not able to listen, because they're not in their right mind, or they're just like, their problem is just so severe that it doesn't matter what happens to them at that point, right? They're like, whatever they're going through is overtaking their bodies, right? But I was able to go through that and function properly. So eventually they released me, right? And I was able to talk to that doctor. So years later go by, I'm doing this art stuff. Like I said, at the time I was homeless, right? I've been homeless on and off, and still, like, I'm under, like, I'm basically, I don't like saying homeless, but still I'm basically homeless, because I don't live in my own place. This is not my place, or I'm couch surfing, or whatever the situation. I'm still always constantly trying to find the help that I need to actually get my own place. Like, I suffered from, like, the disorder I suffered from, hearing voices made it hard for me to want to even live by myself, because I was being attacked by spirits, energies, things that people cannot see, things that you cannot complain about, you cannot tell the court about, threatening to kill me, threatening all sorts of things in my head, just really loud stuff. And I'm like, what am I going to do? On top of that, I just felt like I was bloated. I felt like I had too much air in my body. I started itching everywhere, and I was like, whoa, what is going on with me? Like, this is so crazy, right? And so after my second visit, the first mental hospital I ever went to was called Jamaica Hospital. And Jamaica Hospital was really sweet. They were really clean. And I talked to the doctor or the therapist, and they were able to release me without medication as well. I was there for 2 weeks. So I went back to the shelter, and I had like $400 or $500 on food stamps, because I was in a hospital for a very long time that I didn't get to spend my food stamp money, right? This is all New York City. So God tells me, okay, let's go donate to the hospital, right? So because I was so grateful for that hospital, and Jamaica Hospital, the first time I got admitted to that hospital is because I started fasting. Like, I don't know if I told you guys in one of my videos or my last videos, but I started fasting, and the more I started fasting and reading the Bible, I felt powerful, like I could fly, like I could just do anything, and out of control, like not out of control, basically, sort of like I was just feeling like I was healing. I was a healer, and if I touched the door, by me just touching the door, the children will be healed. I was just seeing so much going on in the shelter, people doing drugs, just sneaking drugs in. It's none of my business to say that, but like, it was just so much going on. And it was the first real shelter that I had ever been to. The first real one, it was the second shelter, but the first so the first shelter I ever been to was in Atlanta, Georgia. And I just loved being able to have my daughter and just fighting for my own life. I just love not having to rely on my parents or my mother or my father or my family to actually do things. So I didn't really have an issue sleeping in a shelter, sleeping on the bed with the floor or on the floor with other people. I love the fact that I was actually feeling safe, or I was actually didn't have to hear people arguing and yelling at me. Like, the one thing you never want when you struggle with a mental disorder, whatever you're going through, is people to be complaining about you all the time. Like, because they make it hard for you to even love yourself or to even want to be alive, is when they're complaining about you. Like, I already know my issues, okay? So it's like, I don't want to hear you like complaining about me, because I already know what I'm going through. And that happened a lot in my family, where I was just like, well, I can't really be here, and people are always complaining about me when I'm doing the best that I can, or I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And so I was just like, well, I'm going to just leave. And that was in the past, where I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave and go to a shelter, because I'm going to try. I just don't want people I need help. You know what I mean? And if you don't believe I need help, there's someone out there that believes, that is going to believe me and is going to help me. And you're not going to get help if you don't feel like or think you have an issue or a problem, or if you ignore your problems, or if you don't talk to someone out there that's going to help you. Your friends are not going to help you. There are friends that will help you, but they're not going to really help you the way the government or people like the doctor will help you, or a therapist will help you. You know, because these people are actually licensed, and they're actually given, you know, they're actually able, and they have the capacity. They've studied, they went to college, gotten their PhDs or whatever they can to help you with whatever mental issue or whatever issue you have. But if you just like go to your friend's house and you're homeless and all you're doing is living with your friends, you're never going to get an apartment or a house if you can't afford to get a place. If you live in a shelter, at least you can work your way. They're helping you get a place. The shelter is not forever. You know what I mean? You're not going to be in that shelter for the rest of your life. They're actually working towards getting you a place. And if you're ready to get that place, the whole big thing about shelters is finding the right shelters, because there is a lot of problems in shelters as well. A lot of different people that struggle from different mental illnesses, some higher, some lower than others, where you just like, I don't want to be in a place where people want to fight all the time. I don't want to fight with nobody. And then sometimes, a lot of the times, the staff in shelters also have mental disorders that they don't even know about or have never reported. So you can tell when you do that, when you actually have the sense to actually talk to someone about whatever is going on and explain it without them getting an attitude or you getting an attitude. Specifically them getting an attitude, then you know you're talking to someone right. If they don't know how to communicate with you, and they just keep triggering you and saying things that you don't need to hear, and they know you're a mental patient, but they work there, but they got an attitude about you, like, those people have issues of their own that they don't even need to be behind the counter talking about. They work for something. They work for mental health of people that need help, because they themselves need help. It's like, if you are that person, it is so important, like God says, it is so important for you to just take time off and work on yourself, because you're not helping the situation when you come in a facility or a shelter or a hospital, whatever it is, whatever job that you have. If you're not mentally stable to take in that work, like, you need to listen to your body and you need to stop. And a lot of and a lot of, because the hospitals are running low on staff, or run loan staff, a lot of times they hire whatever or whoever they can that at least has a license or is eligible. So a lot of people say they're eligible and they're able to do certain things, but once they actually get into that field, it's like a whole nother, like, it's like a war zone. They become, if they're not strong enough, they become weak and they fall into the category of a mental patient. And now they're working, but they also have issues. So every time they come to work, they're taking all their issues out and emotions out on the people, on the customers, or the patients. And not even talking about customers, because patients are not customers, but on the patients or the clients or whatever, right? I've been in a hospital or in a shelter where people are actually mentally stable, and I could tell these people are actually trying to help me. They're not trying to add on to my issues. They're actually working hard on fixing whatever issue I have. They're listening to me. They're hearing me. You know what I mean? That's what I like. That's what I go by, and that's why I make videos like this, just so that you guys can know what's really going on. People don't really know what's going on. They know only a part of the story, but when you're in this situation, you really get to know the ins and outs on what's going on with people that are homeless or people that struggle with mental disorders. And so that being said, I was just like, at Bellevue Hospital, I loved that they were able to care for me, right? And they put on music. They have these classes. They have stretching classes. They have painting classes. They have therapists, 2 therapists, and like I said, these therapists were not my race. They were white people, and I'm not saying my race is bad at all, which I should stop mentioning race. But I always, like, me, I don't know if it's a part of my disability or whatever it is, or it's just who I am, but I feel like I know who's helping, and it's not because, and a lot of times people are like, well, the only reason this person's helping because they have the opportunity. Yes, there in the world, there are people that are healed, and there are people that are sick. That's it. If everybody was sick, there wouldn't be a doctor. You know what I mean? So there are people that have suffered mental disorders, just like a lot of us black people, or Black Americans, or Spanish people. We don't have especially Black people. We come from a long line of abuse. Being slaves, and being beaten, and being choked, and being killed. That takes a toll on the Black race, like, alone. And then going to school and watching it over and over again, like, when do we get to heal? When do we get to, you know what I mean? Because every day it's a war zone. Every day we're not good enough. Every day our hair is not nice enough. Every day life is constantly telling us that you're just not beautiful enough. You know what I mean? So of course we're gonna most of the Black people are gonna be crazy and stealing and doing just crazy things, because they're constantly being bullied and told they're not good enough. Like, it makes them feel like, well, why am I here? I'm not accepted. It makes you feel alone. It makes you feel unaccepted. It makes you feel like, and then other people, and for somebody to go around and just like uproot a race or a person that has actually had the chance and the opportunity to succeed, and their only reason why they're doing better is because they didn't go through what you went through. No, they didn't go through what you went through. They went through their own issues. You know what I mean? And that's probably why they did what they did. And that's no excuse, and it shouldn't be done, but it's already done. And all we can do from this day on is move forward with our lives and try to heal and try to get better. Not beat on each other, not knock on each other, not hate on each other or anything, but try to help each other learn how to recover and learn how to survive. As a Black person, that's all I can do. I can't point fingers. I can't put blame on anybody, even if I was abused by mainly the people in my race, Black people, which I don't like to say, but it's because they were abused. And so they don't know who to run to, or who to take it out on. They don't know what to do. They don't know. Our bodies operate differently. You know what I mean? So it's really, really hard being Black, or being, it's hard being a person, period. It's not even about color, but just try to understand that there are different levels of abilities depending on what skin or your body type. We have melanin skin. So there, what is it called? I would say side effects, but that's not the word. But there are good things about it and bad things about just having melanin skin. You know, we our muscles get stiffer faster, just like we get what is it called? We get muscles faster than other races just because our skin is stronger. That's why it happens. But it's a blessing and it's a curse for some people. They can go on without having like just a roughness, while others can't. So that being said, it's really hard to just, I do apologize if it sounds like I'm picking on my own race, which I'm not. I'm just trying to help you guys. I'm just let you guys understand what's really going on, and it might not be everybody, it might just be me, you know what I mean, but I'm just sharing with you my part of the story. So like I was saying, you go to the hospital. I go to the hospital, and these two therapists, this guy and this girl, I forget their names, Dr. Crosby and therapy lady, this other white therapy lady, they come inside my room, and every day at Bellevue Hospital, they're talking to me with love. They're talking to me with kindness. They're not coming in my room and just like, I've literally fell in love with Dr. Crosby. I was like, I hope he tries to sleep with me in here. It was terrible. I had a terrible mindset, but I was just thinking like, oh my God, he's so cute. He's so sweet. Like, look at this. He's just like, they're like, you've been through a lot, we're going to try to help you get a place or help you do this or help you do stuff, right? And whenever they felt like it wasn't safe for me to be or to be somewhere to do something, they literally were like, okay, you can't go or this and that. And when it becomes for therapists or doctors, it comes like there's no way they can there's nothing they can do for you, or they if to me the vibe they were giving me was something was not safe or something was not right, which it wasn't. Like, we don't want to put her in a place with mental patients, even if it's getting an apartment, and like literally they lock her in there and she can't get out for years or days. Maybe they thought that. And when they're nice to you, you always think that they are at your best interest no matter what, because the first thing they do when they approach you is they smile at you. How are you doing? How is everything going on? Are you okay? And you don't feel intimidated, because in the conversation they're not trying to dominate your voice or they're trying to actually hear you so they can help you. And that's what I loved about Bellevue Hospital. And so the first time around, it was great. I did have to take medication, which was Risperdal, right? And it didn't do much for me. It did put me into this high, but I felt like it was actually messing up my mind more, just because I was already okay in my head. I felt like I was relaxed. I didn't feel depressed. I did feel highly energetic, but I didn't feel highly energetic at the point where I couldn't control it. I just felt great. You know what I mean? And so when I did take the medicine, it put me in a different high, in a different way. I wasn't sober anymore, and I didn't really like that, but I liked that I was relaxed, but I didn't like that I was high off of something, and so eventually I stopped taking that medication and I felt better. I got released from the hospital, and I just didn't feel like I needed to take this medication. If I don't feel like I need it, if it doesn't make me feel like the way beer makes me feel when I drink without the hangovers, I don't feel like it's good for me. I want to be happy. I don't want to feel like I'm off in another world. I want to feel like I'm here on earth and I'm functioning sober, but I'm something is helping me, right? And at the time, my issues weren't as severe. You know what I mean? I was just an artist, and they didn't get it. And so I finally get released from the hospital. I had a great time the first time around. The hospital was clean. There was this black lady that was sitting down who was actually a RN, or I don't know what they are. There's some people that just actually sit there just to watch the patients. She had an attitude, and she starts going off, and I look at her. She starts going off not on me, but at a visitor. And I looked at her like, why are you going off on the visitor? Like, why is this woman working here? And it's not because she's black, but it's just because she has an attitude. Like, why is she yelling? Like, we don't want to see the RN or the nurses fighting. That's gonna be like, well, who's gonna help us if y'all fighting with each other and y'all don't even know how to talk to the visitors. You're not gonna talk to my family members if they ever try to visit me. Father or mother or brother or sister like that, if they try to visit me, I'm gonna go off. So she was just talking to anybody, but Dr. Crosby stood up when he caught that so fast. He was like, "Oh, hey, just relax." He told her to relax really well. He didn't say just shut. He just said, "Relax. I got it. I'll take care of it." And I was just so impressed by him, right? Because he didn't feed onto her fire. He didn't try to take her side because she works for the hospital. Because in the hospital, you always think that it's all doctors and all nurses against you. It's you against them. It always feels like that. If they're not trying to help you with clothes or with your situation, being the nurses that nursing you and nourishing and comforting you, you're going to automatically assume that they're against you because they're not trying to help you. Then you're going to feel like you're in a trap. You're in a trap house. And it's like a lot of them, they'll try to tell you, like, if they don't know how to talk to you or how to get you to, there's a lot of them that don't listen. This is not necessarily a Bellevue hospital. It's a lot of different hospitals, and you meet different people, some good, some bad, right? Different nurses, different doctors, some good, some bad. Some are most depending on where you go. And they would be like, "Oh, you're not going to." They would be like, "You have to take your medication or else this is going to happen to you," or that. So they can't say that to me because I'm like, it's not going to happen. I already know. Like, I don't let them, so some of these patients, they hear that because they're now weak-minded. They don't know how to mentally defend themselves because they actually have an issue. And it's not that I didn't actually have an issue. Like I said, there are different levels to mental disability. Some people literally just can't do it, be normal, while others can handle whatever situation they're in by the grace of God. So yeah, I finally got released from that hospital, and it was great, right? They gave me outpatient. They did this. I did go to therapy. I did comply, go to therapy. I did try to take my medication as much as I can. But then I was like, I'm getting sleepy all the time. When you're homeless or you live in a shelter, you can't be falling asleep all the time. You're going to mess around and fall asleep in front of a park with your stuff or your money, and you're going to get robbed. You're going to try to cross the street under your medication. Medication side effects is making you sleepy, right? Side effects, a lot of the medication makes you sleepy, or it makes you muscle stiff. If you're sleeping most of the time, most of the day, or you know what I mean? It's like, how are you going to live? If you're smart, you're really thinking, or if it's not working, you're like, how do I live like this? How do I even make my appointments before I even get there or my appointment comes, I'm already passed out sleeping. I don't want to get ran over by a car because I'm crossing the street because I'm too sleepy to finish crossing the street. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I don't want to be drinking coffee all day just to stay awake either, because coffee is not good for me either. Coffee makes my muscles stiff. Coffee makes my throat close up. All those, it's just not caffeine. It just doesn't work. So it's not that they did a bad job. It's just everybody has a different body. There is when I was on the street, I met some mental health patients that worked as, they used to be veterans. That this one guy, he was a Leo, this black guy, he actually told me, I met him in Houston. He was like, without my medication, I don't know where I would be. It's helped me a lot. So trust and believe, doctors, it's helping some people or a lot of people, but there are others it's just not helping. It's not working. And you can't force them. You can only encourage them to keep trying, but you can't force them because you're just a doctor. You're not a patient. It's not like you take the medications to see what it's like because you don't have the issue, right? And you may have the issue, but you don't speak about it. So no one really knows. But then how would you get where you are? Like I said, some people can make it with their issues while others cannot. But it's like, you don't know what that stuff does to you. If you watch TV, they tell you what this stuff does to you on the commercials. Some say it really fast, some don't. These are the side effects. This is what you can be aware of. I don't want to go through that. So, just there's so many times I went through that, right? Where I was able to just go leave and just take a long time, go 5 years without going to the hospital. And then finally I go to the hospital again because I was like homeless, and I didn't have, literally didn't have lotion. I didn't have the tools that I needed to take care of myself. I was rubbing on. I didn't. I was rubbing my hands, my mouth with my hands, trying to massage my gums. I was hearing these voices coming up from my head out of nowhere. I'm like, why do I keep hearing this person, this demonic woman showing up as if she's my mother, but it's not her because my mother's actually busy at work, taking care of her own life. But there is a demonic spirit that's posing as her, trying to kill me. And I'm sitting there like, what's going on? I don't understand this. I don't want to go through it. So my sister, my older sister, actually tells me she struggled with the same thing and she heard the same voices. So her communicating and sharing that with me made me feel so much better, made me feel so much comfort, because I felt like I was alone in the whole family. I was the only one going through it. She said she was going through it, and she's went through it since she was like 24 or 20 something, and she's like 30 or 40 something now, I think. I'm not sure, maybe 38 or 39, almost 40, probably 40, I don't know. But just for her to tell me that, it touched my heart. And it made me feel less alone. And if my story and me sharing this with you can make you feel less alone, that's what I want you to feel. That's what God wants you to feel. He never wants you to feel like you don't have anybody to help you. He never wants you to feel alone in this world, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you've done. He doesn't want you to feel alone in this world, because you are a person. And even if you are guilty of something, you're still innocent in some way. You didn't ask to be born. You didn't ask to come into this world. And maybe you did. I don't know what happens before people enter this world. But you didn't ask to, because God will never put you in a situation that he didn't first approve. And even if he did approve it and he's using you in whatever way, just trust that he'll get you out of whatever situation that you're in, no matter what situation that is. And try to just do better as you go on in life. And try to be considerate of the people around you, and don't hurt them. Don't put your hands on them because you're out of it. And if you need medication, take your medication. This is not to tell you not to take your medication. This is, if something is helping you, don't stop. But if it's not helping you, talk to someone. If no one is listening, find something else. Find an outlet. Just, you can do it. And the way I recovered is by, of course, stopping to take the meds because they were not helping. I would die if I kept trying something new. I would have been dead. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. My body can't take it. Just like when you drink too much alcohol or you take too much street drugs and your body has had enough, your body is going to tell you that's enough. That's it. I can't do it. And you got to listen to your body. If you do not listen to your body, then it's a problem. Listening to other people and not listening to like there was one time I was in New York City, they were telling me to breathe in and out because I was telling them I was having breathing issues. But when I tried to breathe in, it felt like I was going to die. And so whenever he said breathe in, I would breathe out because I felt better. It's like, you know how to breathe. You know what's going to help you. You know how to survive, even if you feel like you don't. The people around you are here to help you as much as you can, but they can't help you if you don't communicate to them. And if they're working against you, then find a way, pray, fast. There will be a solution for you. I am living proof that there is a solution for you. There was a time where I couldn't even talk. There was a time where I could barely breathe, barely. And by the grace of God, I'm able to breathe again. And it wasn't the medication that helped me. It was massage therapy. Sitting home. It was after I got into that car accident, and I was able to win the lawsuit. And it's not good to be in a car accident. It's terrible because I was scared. I never want to go to the hospital and not know what's going to happen to me. If I'm going to go through surgery, I had my head, I had stitches and stuff, but I was scared. What's going to happen? Doctors make mistakes too. Because remember the one guy that the doctors literally forgot to give him medication, and all of a sudden he was feeling them doing surgery on him because they forgot to give him the numbing cream. Doctors make mistakes too. Try to understand that there's a lot of doctors. There are doctors that literally don't sleep. Doctors, they've been working for 9 years to get their PhD, which is so hard, and now they have to work. Like, they haven't gotten a break because now they have to pay their debt. Now they have to pay their school, their tuition if they didn't get a scholarship or whatever, and it's very expensive. Very expensive. So they're in a situation where they have no choice. They have no break. They've been working since this. Only people that have the capacity. That's why when you're a doctor, you get 9 years. It takes 9 years until you get your PhD, because if you can't make that in those 9 years, you can't make it to forever as a doctor. That's a test to see if you're capable of being a doctor. You're not going to go to perform surgery or whatever on a patient and you can't do it. And you have emotional health issues. You can't comprehend. You can't understand. You don't know how to work as a team. And in the beginning, there are times where you actually can do it. But life happens. Life happens. You get divorced. You're emotionally bothered. You got bills piled up. I've heard some doctors even do cocaine because they're trying to stay up. I've heard, I'm not saying any names, but I don't know any doctor that's ever done cocaine but I've heard it happens. So you can't tell me that doctors are just perfect and just they know everything that they're doing, because there are a lot of them that suffer from mental health disorders just because they have been around so many mental health people, mentally disordered people, or they have not had enough rest. As a human being, when you don't sleep enough, you got issues all of a sudden, right? So this is not to tell you, like, this is just to inform you, like, doctors, like, do everything you can to listen to the patients. Listen very careful. Listen to what they need. Listen to what they're telling you. Take notes and pay attention. There's one thing to listen and to hear, but if you're not paying attention, you're not going to get it. Write it down. Get an assistant to help you write it down. Do a voiceover. Record the voice. Record the conversation. And replay if you don't get it. I'm not saying doctors are bad at all. This is just to tell you, when you listen to your patient, you're more likely to help them than to not help them. But when you don't listen, you're not helping, because you're doing what you want to do, what you think is best, or what you're being pressured to do. You're not doing what's right for the patient, right? So this is a message that God told me and asked me, not just told me, but asked me to share it with you guys. It did not come easy. It's not easy to put yourself out there like that. It's not easy to be vulnerable. It's not easy to try to get, but when you're sitting at home and you got this information or these issues and stuff like that, no one can help you with, and you don't really understand, talking to somebody is always the best thing. And medication is not the only solution to your problem. There is therapy, there is massage therapy, prior practitioners or whatever. These are all things. Just medicating a problem away is not the way. It's not the only way to fix the problem. You can't just put a Band-Aid over everything, or take a pill for everything. You have to work on your physical. You have to stretch. Don't drink while you take a medication. It's not going to help. And they say this. There's a lot to think about when you take medication. Drink your water. Drink lots of water, but don't drink too much water. So there's a lot that patients have to think about. So why are all these, like, black people on schedule on the street, a lot of them are over medicated, or not over medicated necessarily, but they're on meds. So they're resting. Their body is resting. This helps them calm down. Most of them, it works, I think. But it helps them calm. But when it helps you calm down, it also makes you lazy. You can't finish your tasks. You can't think correctly. You're not normal. You know? That's not for everybody. That's for some people. So just try to take that in consideration, especially for the beautiful black people. Try to respect each other, because you've been in the same situation. I mean, you may not have a mental disorder, but just know that your people come from a deep background of abuse, and when you keep picking on them and telling them what they've done wrong, they've heard that enough. And I've done that before, but not like in a bad way, but just trying to find a way to communicate without making them feel, or making you feel as a black person that you're just not perfect because you heard it enough. You don't want to hear me say you're messed up because I don't need to say it. You already know. And if that's, I'm not saying you already know and that you are messed up, but take it how you want to take it. I just don't know how else to explain it, and I don't mean to be disrespectful. I just want to help others as well as help myself. You know, I don't want you to pick on other black people. There's so many beautiful black people out there that are wanting to, and not just black people, but different races that want to make a change. And when you pick on them or make them feel bad, you don't make the problem go away. You only make it worse. So trying to encourage each other, try to help each other in different ways, not just black people, but all races. I just say specifically black people just because that's where I see the problem the most. And, you know, it doesn't mean you're stupid. It doesn't mean you're slow. It's just you're going through something. You've been through a lot. Your soul, your body has been tormented. It may not have been in this life, but you carry past, karma or past stuff. And you bring it here, and then you don't know what's the issue. Take a seat, sit down, relax, recover. They need the most love. They need the most courage and help. You know what I mean? And don't say, we don't need your help, having an attitude. No, we all need help. Even I need help. We all need help. All races need help. They need help in a different way, in a different field, right? So when you have a child, you don't want that child to go through the same thing that you went through. So you want to talk about it. You want to communicate. We need more communication in the black community. We need more therapy in the black community. We need more massage therapy. We need more art therapy. We need so much in the black community, which I feel like should have been done when Black Lives Matter started their campaign or their thing. And like that being said, when I heard in the news about Black Lives Matter, the people that own it, that the money they were supposed to help build the black community, they built themselves $1 million mansion, drinking and all this. It's understandable why it's not right, but it's understandable. Because before you help someone else, you have to help yourself. When you become rich, you see life in a whole different perception. You don't know what they're going through up there. You don't know who is stopping them or who is telling them, who is whispering in their ear, who they're under. You don't know if they're being attacked by their own black people just because they're rich. Other black people think they have to help you. Nobody has to do anything. Nobody has to do anything. So you can't get mad at them or there's a lot they did that I don't like, but there's a lot they did just by standing up saying Black Lives Matter. They literally helped a lot of people in the black community and a lot of other communities open up to help the black people. Like when that whole protest happened, you saw white people, Spanish people, Asian people standing up saying Black Lives Matter. You know how many black lives just watching different races stand up and fight for them? How many black people were touched and delivered and helped and felt like they were loved just by seeing that? I felt it. The black community needs that. They do. And in the black community, it's so important for you not to bully the people that are rising, the black people or the communities that are rising to help you as a community, and force them and say you don't make it easy for them to help you. You make it harder because now you're trying to say they got to do this. No, what about what you have to do? If you have the strength or the knowledge or the wisdom or the courage to say what you're saying, then you're going to have the knowledge, the strength, the wisdom, and the courage to actually do something about it. You may not have the connections. If you don't have the connections, then I suggest you just be quiet for a second and try to put yourself in their situation. So at first I was like, nah, I don't like them. I don't like Black Lives Matter. I don't believe it. I don't feel like they're really going to help and blah, blah, blah. I don't trust them just because of what I went through in the black community, how I felt. I didn't feel like I was going to be respected. I didn't feel like I was going to be cared for because I wasn't in the past. And it's not by all of them, but it's most. you know. So we go through PTSD. You go through that PTSD and trauma just from that, right? So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and I hope you don't take this message as offensive, and I hope that you can just learn a lesson from it, and not learn a lesson from it, just let us like build a conversation about it, talk about these things. If we talk more about our problems and try to solve them, the world will be able, we won't cause problems. The world will be, you won't cause problems, or anybody that is just not able to manage or handle their mental disorder or mental health or whatever they're going through. All right, guys, so that's enough. It's Eora, Sandra, you already know. And Jesus, God is here with me. Sorry for those who don't believe. It doesn't matter what religion you are. This is not a religious place. We're just spiritual. Religion is not bad. It's just being religious and all that is not something we really do or we're really into. We just want everybody to feel this is an open space for you to be able to communicate and share your thoughts. And so is the comment section. Just be respectful to one another. Try to be as educated. Try to communicate with with an educated mind, or with education, or with educational words, messages. You know, just to share your story, you can help so many people. This is open for everybody, not just Black people. I just had to bring that out, you know. So thank you so much for listening. You guys have a wonderful day. Hit that notification button if you would like to hear more of, like, just to get the notifications right away whenever I post a video. Hit the thumbs up. Your support means everything. Keep me in your prayers. I'll keep you guys in my prayers. God cares about you. Don't forget, there are people in this world that actually do care about you. And to be continued to the next video, I will definitely let you guys know how to survive. I'll do my best to let you know how to survive being homeless and all sorts of things. You have a wonderful day. God bless you. Love, love, peace.